when we know better, we do better. And at that stage, I didn't know any better. If a horse was moving around, I would make it stand still. I would pick up a foot, I would put it against the wall. And after a session, I had not made a new friend. The horse was irritated. I got the job done of what I wanted to do to help them, but we both walked away actually feeling pretty crappy. So when you're saying, looking at this and feeling the energy, I finally learned how to listen and how to learn to communicate with their language, not my language. That's the difference. And with animals, it is about that nonverbal communication. It is about the energy, because you can feel somebody nonverbally. If they're in a bad mood, you're going to feel that energy. So when we're talking about animals, the first thing I do is if an animal's reacting, I pause and go, okay, what am I doing? Maybe I check in with myself first, because that's where I go. And maybe I didn't say hello, or maybe I went in a little too bold. I have to put my hands on animals. Maybe I should ask permission first. So did I go in too quickly? Did I not respect their space? And so when I started to learn how they communicated, I was able to have these conversations that looked like magic, but all I was doing was listening and really respecting what they were letting me know, but still getting the job done, but in such a more peaceful way.
So what I'm hearing is that you listened, you observed more than anything, you observed the animal and you really learned how to tune into them. And the same
And
way with owners. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, and really it's that subtlety. It's the way that they've flicked their ear, it's the way that they've positioned their tail, it's the way that they look at you from the side of their eye. It's just all these little things that are very important cues. And it actually has made me a better communicator with people today. Animals have taught me how to listen at more of a level that's nonverbal, and meet people where they're at, meet their energy. If if um if a horse gets really big with me, like trying to intimidate, well, then I can't just say, hey, slow down. It's not really showing that I can match their energy. So if a horse gets big with me, then I energetically get big, like settle down or move forward and match their energy. And I can do that with people too. Coming in to communicate with people with a big energy, with somebody who's very quiet. Have you ever seen that happen?
Well, yeah. And what you're saying really is helpful for the owners. It's helpful for all of us. How did you figure out how to stop and pause and pick up on that in meeting people where they're at? How do you define that? I know that people say it a lot. How do
Did
you
I
look at meeting people where they're at?
oh, did I say that? Did I say meeting people where yeah, I did. I mean, it's just something that's ingrained in me. I don't even hear myself say it anymore because I truly live it. Um, for the most part, I'm human. So meeting people where I'm at, and then I have children that sometimes I don't give them enough grace to meet them where they're at. And then I have to revisit that and, apologize, but we're human. Meeting somebody where they're at is meeting them with their energy, really truly hearing them and not coming in with my agenda of how I want the situation to go. So it's getting curious, asking questions. Does that take practice? Yes, it takes practice. But it's really about just being curious and having those conversations with people and just, not putting my agenda out there, thinking I want to get point A to point B and this and that. Just actually being okay with what's about to unfold. I find I've had more in-depth organic conversations with people when I don't have an agenda and I'm truly curious about them.
That's kind of hard sometimes not to have that agenda. And I love what you're saying. How would you help somebody get out of their agenda? To be able to talk more naturally to someone, to be able to perhaps connect on a deeper level.
Practice. Yeah, practice. I hear I see a lot of people are like, they've read this and they've read that, and believe me, if you look at my Audible and you look at what I put in, because I do a lot of mileage in my car driving from place to place, working with animal, and I don't listen to music. I listen to things that develop this thought process. I listen to personal development all the time, all different levels. And when I hear something, I'll grab it on Audible and I'll put it on there and I'll listen to it. But what really helps me is when I put it into practice, because we can always just listen and it sounds like a great idea, but if we put it into practice, then it downloads into us. And then it starts to be like, oh, this doesn't feel comfortable for me, but hey, let's try it on. It's like putting a piece of clothing on. I don't really like how that made me feel. All right, I'll try something else. Just get willing to just practice. It's a lot of fun. And some of the things that at first I'm like, that doesn't sound comfortable, but I tried it anyway. I found that the reactions of what I was getting from some people, that I was like, oh, that was my stuff. And now it's a part of me. Sometimes I say things now that used to be uncomfortable, but because I see the benefit of what I'm saying with people or to people, that I'm like, oh, that does feel good now, because I've seen how good it makes somebody else feel. In a certain situation, I can't really, say, I guess, for me as a business owner, what it translates to, and what, for an example of what I'm saying is, I didn't know how to set the next appointment up. I didn't know how to do that. But as a business owner and getting busy, if I didn't set the next appointment up, I would forget about them. And all of a sudden, a couple months go by, and it's not fair to me. It's not fair to my clients. So I started getting uncomfortable asking these questions, which means for the next appointment, it just wasn't something that was comfortable for me, and it felt foreign and it didn't feel like me. But I tried it on and I said, hey, what would work, 4 weeks or 6 weeks from now? But I would give choices. So it's a conversation. So it's not like set on that one agenda. And they'd be like, well, actually, 6 weeks would be better. Okay, great. During this week, Monday or Wednesday, I would always give two choices, because if we leave it bigger, it just gets messy. I didn't make this up. I learned this from people who are successful. And they're like, actually, Wednesday is better. Great. Day or afternoon. And you just keep doing it. And at first it's like, oh, but now it's so natural to me, because the end result is what we both want, which is to set that next appointment. So those were the things that were not comfortable, but then it became comfortable, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes. And one thing that I pick up about you is a beautiful, accepting attitude. And that rubs off. I know that I've benefited from that, where I kind of might beat myself up a bit, and you're like, Jody, you're human, or something like that. And that's because they're old messages, though, that come up saying, you've done thousands of these before. How could you do da 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 da? And there's not always an answer.
And there's gremlins. There's always going to be gremlins. I was just facilitating with my team the other day, and I said, if you think that those voices and those doubts and those beliefs don't keep coming up, you're wrong. I'm sorry. The journey is going to always be there. You're going to wake up and you're going to have a crappy day, and there's going to be these voices that say, you can't do this. Yeah, who are you to do this? Though they show up. They never don't. And I always want to be so authentic and transparent with that, because I feel, sometimes we get these, oh, you're such a natural. I'm like, no, I'm not such a natural. I was willing to practice over and over and over again, that it became natural. And then I'd go, what else can I learn? What else? I'm just a lifelong learner. I just want to keep learning. I was just on a call with a dear friend, and we're trying to figure out these mindsets of because I'm going to ask for forgiveness after I do this. And if my husband ever watches this, I'm a solution-based person. I'm looking for this, but I'm also an entrepreneur. My husband's not an entrepreneur, and he will look at all the things that could go wrong. And I look at all the things that could go right. And it's just a mindset. and there's intentions. So when I bring up my big visions, my husband can't see it. And it scares him because he sees all the obstacles. And I don't see the obstacles. I go, well, when they show up, I'll figure out a way around them. So I realize not everybody has those mindsets, but it isn't something that people can have and people can maybe not. It's we choose which one we want to follow. And sometimes you have to practice your way out of that. And I've practiced because practice solution based. I've practiced quieting those thoughts. They come up. I just don't give them the power that they used to have over me. And sometimes I'll have this diet, like I'll watch it. It's like I'm witnessing it now, not allowing it to absorb me and stop me in that fear. I'm willing to move through the fear to the other side. And so, but the thoughts come up and then I go, thanks for sharing. I sometimes in my house, as I'm walking around, go, wow, you really went sideways there. I refuse to allow myself to give that power to those thoughts because I know that we don't always have to believe what our mind says.
Act your way into good thinking is what I'm hearing.
Nice. I like it. And you know what? Fail forward. I just heard that the other day.
Yes.
Fail forward, right?
Yeah.
You know, not everything that I do works out, but I don't allow that to stop me. I just allow that to know that it's unfolded something else. I'm like, oh, I guess that's when, you know, somewhere along the line, we were told we're not allowed to change our mind once we make a decision, you know, but really it's like, I just have these visions and I don't know which ones are going to land, but I focus and I drive forward and, you know, some things unfold going, so I love that plan the plan, not the outcome, because, you know, that end result can get there. We just don't know what that's going to look like along the way.
I love that. And what I'm also hearing is that you supported yourself in a loving way. In other words, not beating yourself into a different way of doing things. And that to me is just so beautiful. And of course, bringing up gratitude, because what can work better than gratitude? You know, one thing I noticed is that what I found interesting about what you do is that you have two sides of the brain. Here you are, you focus on the horse and kind of technical, my brain, but yet you're intuitive. How do you bring the left and the right side of your brains together?
Oh, that was a gift that was given to me by working with animals, going deeply with that instinctual, you know, along the line, we have these gut feelings, right? We talk about it, these gut feelings. And in hindsight, people are like, I knew that, but you know, and then we get our brain in the way, right? Our mind gets in the way. So over and over, working with horses and animals and dogs for 20 years, I've been I'm very grateful for it, have been around it without even realizing it, like without even realizing that they had shown me to trust myself. They kept showing me to trust myself because they kept proving and validating that in a way that was not verbal. And so that's where I just kept doing these uncomfortable things and then also going in and working in here and there and watching how they instinctually trusted their intuition. And every time I trusted my intuition, it always worked out. So that's what allowed me to start trusting that. But at first, I had this battle of the minds, right? Where it's, oh no, it couldn't have been this, but it kept happening over and over again. So this repetitive, you know, validation to trust that allowed me to go, you know what? I'm going to let go of that right now because it's always, always guided me to the best way that it could guide me. It's just that humans love to know. I need to know. And it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. I mean, I was having a great conversation this morning and I realized surround yourself with a lot. I'm just thinking with these questions, Jody, thank you so much because, you know, it's only been a few hours in my day and I've had 2, 3 amazing conversations with people I want to surround myself. And we talk about mindset and intention. If you believe that you can get there, and I mean, there's that's believe and you can achieve. Well, you know, it may sound, but it's true. It's like I say, I know I'm going to do that. I don't know how. I don't know when, but I know that that's happening. And then I start to create my roadmap. And that part is something that I need to practice a little bit more. That's not my strong suit. Is I believe a lot of things, but I never give myself a roadmap to get there. So I get there eventually, but I'm like, wait a second. What if I created a roadmap to get myself there a little bit sooner, maybe? Maybe I create these action steps, but again, be gentle with myself. And that's not something that I was born with. None of this was. This was watching myself, and I always say this lifetime now than my past life. And that's just my past life of growth and where I was at that time. I look at that and I wasn't gentle with myself. I really beat myself up hard. And it was to a point that was very detrimental, and I didn't treat myself very well. But when I had that grace given to me, and that somebody outside of myself gave me permission to say, hey, listen, be gentle with yourself. And I started to practice that. That's when it truly, really was amazing that I got to show up for me. When I started to become gentle with myself, then it allowed me to actually be a lot more gentle with others around me. And it always starts with us. We have to fill our tank first.
I'm also hearing that the horses were the spiritual being covered with a human body, so to speak. And it seems to me that the horses might have opened you up spiritually because they were the thing that ignited your growth. And then I'm hearing that you're talking about a roadmap, and you said the roadmap, when you put it down, it kind of ignites another thing. So what I'm hearing from you is that when we have that positive, whatever it is around us that helps us get rid of some more of our inner garbage, then we can shine even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, find those people that light you up. When I'm having a hard time, I don't look for people in my life to co-sign, meaning that I don't want them to say, oh yeah, that's a hard day. Oh yeah, he was being a jerk, or oh yeah. I actually phone people up and they tell me the truth. And sometimes it's hard to hear, going, well, Tina, since you've asked, this is what I see. And then I have to look in the mirror.
That's right.
And it's not always comfortable, but it gets more comfortable when I'm willing to look in the mirror and I'm like, yep, you're right. Thank you very much. So, I think those are important pieces, is to be around people that are going to tell you the truth, that are going to be there for that. Not just, there's a lot of times that we can't find those people that are going, yeah, that really sucks, and I'm on your side. And I don't want that. I want to know, how can I be better? How can I do better?
I love that. And I know that a lot of our listeners can benefit from that. Please share what you would like to offer our listeners today.
Oh my goodness. My goal is to help empower anybody to know that, it's not on the outside that you were looking for. We look like looking into the inside to really take care of us, and to actually know that we can be that parent to ourselves, that inner child. It starts there, right? I know I now can take care of all of that, instead of looking at how I used to look outside, going, well, if I could do this and this person and this person. And it's like, where am I at today? To just be solid within ourselves. And I also want to offer that, when I'm out there working with horses and dogs, I listen to the owner first. I truly validate that intuitive feeling that they have with their pets, because I may have knowledge in my realm, but I'm going to listen to the owner because they know what their animal needs. And so that's the first person I ask. And then I open a space to, when they say, well, I don't know, I open the space for them and say, well, yeah, you do. What do you think anyway? Let's just, no worries. And then they truly actually let me know. And I allow, I help them validate that they do have more power, that they can be empowered to help their animals, to advocate for their animals, and to actually feel like that before I even get there, because I have been able to offer a technology that comes in and they're able to help their animals with it, and it's a value added to what I do. And so I've been able to help animals and their owners with their health now, with the technology that I can put into their hands, instead of them having to wait 3 weeks or so for me to get out there and feeling helpless. So that's what I offer. I offer consultations, free consultations online, half an hour, 20 to 30 minutes, to see if there's anything that I can do to support them.
Love that. I just got to ask you, do you have any parting words, maybe a quote or some words that motivate you when you might feel a little bit unmotivated or?
It's just so simple. It's like, I don't even know why. It's the most simple quote. We hear it all the time. It's just feel the fear and do it anyway. And the reason I say that is it breaks my heart. It truly does, to watch somebody believe what their mind tells them, and it stops them right before there's greatness. Because everybody, if they could show up just as themselves, and it doesn't matter, and they don't even care what people think, when we can feel that fear and we choose to move past it, we've stopped watering it. It stops growing. We can look behind us and go, oh, it stayed there because we chose to do the opposite of what our mind may have told us. And I just see a lot of magic happen when people can get past those barriers.
Thank you so much for bringing magic into our lives today, Tina.
Thank you, Jody.